Hey everybody, Chris the Cop, welcome back. Thanks for watching and definitely thank you for your support. Today's video is a new video series entitled Coffee with the Cop, or as I'm going to call it, Coffee with Chris the Cop. Why? Because I start every morning off with a cup of coffee, think about what I need to do before I head on into work. So let's see how this new series goes. All right, so if you're watching this, I would tell you grab a cup of coffee because we're going to talk about some interesting stuff. Before we get started though, let's talk about a few things. If you want to support this channel, I have two ways you can support. There's a Patreon link in there as well as a stream link that if you want to donate, you are definitely welcome to. Just by you watching is enough support for me, but some of you have reached out and asked how you can support. So those two options are available there for you. As well as we have a active Discord channel that we are definitely working on. That's Shadow the Boston Terrier, who slept like 12 hours last night and the guy is still sleeping. I woke up, he's sleeping, and I came in here to tape a little bit and he's still sleeping. It's like, dude, get up and do something. Anyways, our Discord channel is growing, and if you want to click the link in the banner, you can join us, where throughout the day I will interact with you guys in general chat, as well as sometimes we do some DMs and stuff like that for some of you that have some questions. So I'm trying to stay active on that as well, and it's kind of just my way of saying thanks for your support. So if you're interested in that, plus two, we got all the other socials, so it's up to you how you want to stay active, as well as you want to stay notified of upcoming videos and events and stuff like that. So, all right, enough of that. Now, if you're new to this channel and you like what you see, hit that subscribe button. Now, what are you getting for hitting that subscribe button? Well, you're getting me, Chris the Cop, a real police officer. I'm a SWAT commander for my police department, and I'm giving you my perspective on SWAT 4, Alley Noir, and other video games, as well as geek and nerd stuff. As you guys can see, I got just a big geek at heart, and I'm just talking about different things that interest me from my perspective. And if that sounds cool to you, come join us, and you'll see that I'm just a regular person just like you, just trying to get through this thing that we call life. If you like this video, thumbs up. I'm not a big fan of thumbs down. And I think that's all like the technical YouTube stuff I'm supposed to do beginning or end the videos. All right, so let's get to it. I've been talking about this for a while. Some of you ask me questions in general chat about being a police officer, paramedic, SWAT commander, some of the things we do, some of the things we don't do, some of the rumors, all these various different things. And I thought, wow, you know what? There's this real program across the United States called Coffee with the Cop. And we meet with people in coffee shops and we just sit down with them and we let them ask us questions. It's one of the best ways that we get to know our community, and they get to know us and get to see that we're just regular people. And we'll sit there and we'll have these chats. Well, I thought, hey, why don't we do Coffee with the Cop on this channel, or Coffee with Chris the Cop? And what you guys can do after this video post is put your questions down for the next video, which I plan on shooting in 2 weeks. I want to do Coffee with the Cop every 2 weeks, and I'll take 10 questions and answer those questions. Now, I got these questions from various different videos and community pictures that I have posted, and decided that this would be the way we would start this series. If you like it, let me know. If you don't like it, of course, let me know. And I'm always looking at comments. Actually, I get kind of bummed out, and maybe because I'm maybe the narcissist in me, when I don't see any comments, or not comments, but when all the comments are gone. Once a video is played for a couple of days, 3 or 4 days, people just stop commenting. So I kind of get bummed out about that. That's why I said, hey, come join me on Discord. All right, let's get to it. Question number 1. Got my coffee? Why did you become a police officer? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you were to find, if you were to find anybody that I went to high school with, they would be like, Chris is a cop. That would be their first, probably reaction. I was probably the furthest guy who would be a cop. I'm a Gen Xer, guys, And growing up, I was into new wave and punk rock, so I was all like, power to the people, right? And like Screw the Man, and we read James Orwell, 1984, Big Brother, and so I was very like anti-establishment, anti-government. I loved being a rebel, rebel without a cause. Listen to Billy Idol, Oingo Boingo, these various groups. So it was just that whole Gen X punk rock type of persona, and kind of funny as that's still the music I listen to. I'm stuck in the 80s. But I always wanted to be a paramedic. That's what I wanted to do. There was a show called Emergency, came out in the 1970s, and it highlighted the new paramedic program in the United States. And we got to follow the exploits of Johnny and Roy, LA County firefighter paramedics, let me put that right way. And we got to follow their exploits, and I was just like fascinated with this thing called paramedicine. And told myself that's what I wanted to do. After high school, unfortunately, my parents were very poor, and they did not have money to send me to college. So I had to work and go to junior college. I think it's called community college now. And I had to get the prerequisites to become an EMT. Well, at this particular time, I was told the only way you could become a paramedic was by joining the fire service. I didn't want to be a firefighter. It was like, I'm, small person. Firefighters are, these big guys, and, at least back then. And the physical agilities were just almost impossible for me to pass just because of my size. And, but if my dream was to be a paramedic, so I was like, okay. So I started taking fire science classes, taking EMT. And eventually I get certified as an EMT, work at a private ambulance company, and I do that for a few years, and some other opportunities came up where I got hired by Santa Barbara City Fire as a firefighter, and things just didn't work out there. Came back, got picked up by LA City Fire as a paramedic, and was getting sent to their mini tower before I started paramedic school, and then the first recession hit. And at that point in time, I was just kind of bummed out because I had these two career opportunities in front of me, and both were now gone. And I didn't want to return as an EMT back in the field, so I finally saved up enough money and went to paramedic school. Was working as a paramedic, loving it. It was my dream. Now, the only unfortunate part, though, I wasn't a fire department paramedic. I was a paramedic for a private ambulance company, and I was still running 911 calls and having a great time, but I was working for a private ambulance company, and for any of you that know, private ambulance companies just don't pay a lot of money. Now, I didn't need a lot of money. I mean, I was a paramedic now for 6+ years until I switched over to becoming a cop, so it just wasn't up there that I needed this money. But eventually you start, as you're getting older, you're like, well, I'd like to, have a family, get a house, have a nice car, so I kept testing for the fire department, kept failing the physical agilities, once again because of my size, and also too, I really didn't train all that hard because I don't think it was really in my heart to really do that. Now, mind you, I went to the fire academy, was working as a reserve firefighter for one fire department, then subsequently for a second fire department, so I was doing all that stuff, but it just wasn't in my, ooh, this is what I want to do. Eventually, one day, I find out that the city I'm working in is being taken over by the county fire department, and subsequently, in about 6 months, I'm no longer going to be a 911 paramedic. And that just broke my heart. Because the only other paramedic you could be in this particular area I was working in was what we call a CCT paramedic, critical care transport. And that means you're transporting one patient from one hospital to the next. No more 911. And I'm a 911 person. I've been doing 911 since I was 14 years old. I'm now 27 years old, and I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? I have no degree, no real education. Yeah, I'm an EMT and paramedic, but what am I going to do? I even thought about leaving the field. I thought about, maybe I should become a nurse. Maybe I should follow that dream. That wasn't so much a dream, but maybe I could, do the prerequisites and, get a pre-med. And then I ran into a friend of mine who was working at the police department and says, hey, Chris, why don't you become a cop? And I'm like, dude, I don't want to be a cop. You guys wear guns. You have bulletproof vests. People wave to you with one finger. Right now people wave to me with all 5 fingers. And I'm like, nah, And he goes, Chris, man, you love talking to people, you love helping people. Why don't you, give it a try? And I was like, well, okay. So I drove down to City Hall, I filled out the application. 6 months later, I'm in the police academy getting yelled at by this 6-foot guy who's just spitting on me every time he's yelling at me. And I'm like, dude, you eat too much red meat because, man, you are just like hyper aggressive. And yeah, and that's how I fell into it. Ended up falling in love with the career. And one of the things that I think has made me successful is the fact that I started off as an EMT and paramedic, because I had to resolve conflict through communication because I wasn't armed. I had to deal with combative patients. There was sometimes we had to deal with combative suspects waiting for the police to arrive. So I had to use my communication skills to keep people calm. That has translated into being a very successful police career. And I still utilize those skills today. Let's go to question number 2. And if you have any follow-up questions, throw them down. Let's see. Scariest situation you've been in. Scariest situation you've been in. Okay? Shadow. Shh. Scary situation is a hostage rescue. I was on the SWAT team. I wasn't a SWAT commander, or I wasn't the assistant team leader. I was an operator, and we didn't know it at the time, but we had a suspect who had a hostage, an 8-year-old little boy. And ended up being that the suspect had murdered his baby's mama 3 years prior and was on the run. And eventually he was seen. He barricades himself into a restaurant bathroom, and the hostage rescue is on. We were successful in the hostage rescue, but it was the scariest call I've been on because of the entire situation. Maybe I'll talk about a subsequent video, because that story is just a very long story, but it was a very intense situation. I was shot at. I had bullets whiz by my head, and for those of you in the military, you know when a bullet whizzes by your head, what that sounds like. Very scary. But yes, that was that was the scariest call I'd ever been on, just because, as a matter of fact, it was a life changer for me. It really changed my perspective on life, and I really at that point decided what I needed to reevaluate to what was important and what shouldn't be important. So, okay, question number 3. Best call. Well, I'm going to put the link there. So I had a video series, or I did a video on my best day and my worst day as in public safety. So my best day is, here it is. I can't really I've had some great calls. Like if you watch that video link, I've had some really great calls. To me, any call where I get to help someone and I get to change someone's life is a good call for me. So those are just numerous. I did many of those calls as the EMT, as a paramedic, and definitely as a police officer. So I can't narrow down one specific one, but when I could put a smile on someone's face, or someone just asked me, can they hug me because I made a difference in their life, that's what makes everything worth it. All right, worst call. That video link. To this day, I believe it's still considered the worst Mexican mafia murder in the United States. I was the paramedic on that call, and I saw the carnage of what happens when you cross the Mexican mafia. They, not that they ordered the hit of the family, that kind of just went off on its own. Those suspects were only supposed to kill one person. Unfortunately, they were high on heroin, and they killed an entire family, including a mom, an 8-year-old little girl, and a 6-month-old baby. You want to watch the specifics of that video, it's there. This murder has been highlighted in books, which I'm in. One's called The Black Hand, and I've been interviewed by Gangland, 60 Minutes, Fox Undercover. It's just because it's just a notorious case that is still referenced today, even though it happened back in 1996, or was it 95? Can't remember. Anyways, that video sequence. So that one still haunts me. I still have nightmares about it. And that was probably the call that really told me, or really illustrated to me that there is really evil in this world. And there's bad people, but then there's evil. And that's what really scares me, is that people don't understand that. Is that when people want to talk about defunding the police and the police this and the police that, we see a real evil that is out there at night when people are sleeping. And that's why we're out there. We want to protect you from that evil. Bad people are bad people. We've all done something bad. But evil scares me. Did I always want to be a cop? I think you kind of answered that already, right? No, I did not always want to be a cop. Okay, what jobs have I done as a police officer? Okay, so when you start off as a cop, you start off in patrol services as a patrol officer. So I worked as a patrol officer. My next assignment was I became a bicycle enforcement officer, which was kind of cool. I got to ride a mountain bike, and I was assigned to what we call the POP team, which is the guys who are like dealing with quality of life issues like transients, narcotic sales. It's like a little bit of everything. So I got to ride a mountain bike and got to wear these little shorts and blah, blah, blah. But that was kind of a cool assignment. After that assignment was over, I was sent to the school program. So I was a school resource officer and did that for a few years. I returned back to patrol services for just a short stint, and then I got promoted to detective. And I worked in detective. I was assigned to domestic violence, and then subsequently handled other special victim cases. Had a few homicides that I was the investigator on, which kind of cool. Then I got sent over to narcotics. Narcotics was shorthanded, so they asked me if I'd be willing to go to narcotics, and that was just an eye opener itself. As a matter of fact, when I was on assignment, I got to respond to the Hollywood Ripper. That's the serial killer that killed Ashton Kutcher's girlfriend or date. He was just convicted of murder. So look up the Hollywood Ripper. I was actually on one of his homicide scenes. Very gruesome scene. After narcotics, where did I go after narcotics? I think I came back to patrol services, and I went to the training bureau, and I was a training officer. So I was kind of an administrator at that point, or admin, and like what we call them admin pogues, and I had a desk job, and I was responsible for setting up training for officers and doing backgrounds on applicants. So definitely it was a pogue desk job, not really one that I liked. But the cool part is that when I finished that assignment, the chief had said, hey, you know what, you didn't want to come here. I know you didn't want to come here, but I'm going to let you pick the assignment you want to go to. So I decided that I want to learn how to ride motorcycles. So I became a motor officer, and I had a blast riding motorcycles. I got to be one of those jerk motor officers. Oh, driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance, please. Yeah, those guys we know what they are. From there, I was promoted to corporal. That's the guys with 2 stripes. And reassigned back to the training bureau. Now I was in charge of the training bureau, which was neat, and did that for a couple of years. And then I returned back to patrol services and worked as a patrol corporal. And from there, I was promoted to sergeant. As a sergeant, unfortunately, I got to work as a patrol sergeant for a while, but unfortunately, I got transferred back to admin, and this time I was in charge of admin services, which is kind of like our really big pogue job. Like you buy pencils, toilet papers, and police cars. Did that, and now for some of you, you see my personality. I'm a practical joker. I like playing jokes on people. And I think I kind of pushed it a little too far one day, and the chief said, hey, Chris, I got a new assignment for you. And I'm like, what's that, chief? I'm going to send you to internal affairs. And I'm like, internal affairs? And he's all, yes. And I said, you're joking, right? And he's all, nope. So I went to internal affairs as a sergeant, and that was very interesting. You guys know what IA is all about. And you no longer have any friends. I remember one day my wife says, hey, it's St. Patrick's Day. My wife was working. She's all, why aren't you going out to the bar and having a couple of drinks with your friends? And I'm like, well, I kind of just want to stay home. And number 2, no one invited me because you're nobody's friend anymore. Everybody you call goes to voicemail because no one knows if you're calling them for an investigation. So it's just like, got promoted to lieutenant out of that. Now, mind you, this whole entire time, all these jobs I'm talking about, after year 1, I was on the SWAT team as a SWAT medic, just a medic only. And it wasn't until maybe like year 5 or 6 that I started to become an operator, where they finally put me in the stick and I went to SWAT school. And then I was the SWAT medic / operator. And then when I was, right before I went to internal affairs, I was taking on the responsibility of being the assistant team leader, being trained for that position. And unfortunately, when you go to IA, you have to give up your SWAT. So I did. And then going back to where the story was at, is I was a lieutenant. And then I worked in internal affairs. Normally, lieutenants get sent back to patrol to be a watch commander. I did not. I was in patrol services, and then I had an opportunity of a lifetime. I got put in charge. I became the Investigations Bureau commander, so I was in charge of gangs, narcotics, and all detectives. And at the same time, I was given the SWAT team as a SWAT commander, so I was like, wow. I was like doing all the covenant positions. I mean, it was just like I had everything. And then decided that I was done kind of doing the 9 to 5 type of stuff. Went back to patrol services as a watch commander. I'm still a SWAT commander, and that's where I'm at today. I'm probably leaving out a couple of things, but those are all the different jobs I've done. I've done everything but have a canine and helicopters. Those are the only 2 things I have not done. Okay, with the way things are today, would you suggest becoming a cop? It's a rewarding career, and it's what you make out of it. Like one day someone sent me a comment saying, hey Chris, aren't you scared about, I think it's a question coming up, aren't you worried about putting yourself out there on YouTube and someone trying to retaliate against you? We can't live for other people. You have to live for yourself. You have to live your life. One day when you're looking back and you're thinking about all the things that you did and all the things that you didn't do, you're responsible for that. You got to take chances. Remember, this is life. We only do this once. And you don't ever want to look back and have regrets. I mean, we all are going to have a regret here and there, but live your life to the fullest. Take chances. Put yourself out there and enjoy it. So one day when you're sitting on the porch and you're reminiscing about your life, having that cup of coffee, you could say, I had a good life. And that's why I tell people, if it interests you, you want to make a difference, you want to make a difference in people's lives, do it. Don't let the negativity hold you back. Never. Because if that happened, none of us would do anything, right? Because it is scary to be out there. Next question. Are you afraid? Yeah, I am. What am I afraid about? Just different things. I mean, I'm not a big person. There are people who are bigger than me. There are people who MMA fight, Krav Maga, that are proficient in martial arts and ground fighting, and I couldn't hold a candle to them. It's not like we have this plethora of training in hand-to-hand combat. I get scared. I mean, you got to remember, we respond to the unknown. I have a helmet in my car. I have a vest on, but that vest is only rated to stop a 45 caliber. A .223 round will go right through it. My helmet is not rifle rated, so a .223 round will go through that. And it's not like I grab my helmet on every call. And if you look at the Google the North Hollywood bank robbery and look how the LAPD was outgunned by 2 guys, and I forget how many officers were injured. Thankfully, nobody was killed. But that's the type of stuff that can definitely happen. So yeah, I get scared, and because we just don't know. We don't know people's intentions. And people say, well, cops sign up to die. No, we don't. I signed up to help people. I didn't sign up to. I mean, yeah, in the back of my mind, I know I may have to put myself in a situation that requires me to, be in a dangerous, incident that, subsequently I could get injured or killed. But it's not like I want to. I mean, I want to live to be 100 years old. What is it like being on SWAT? What is it like being on SWAT? That was the question. It's awesome. It is flipping awesome. I can't say anything more about it. We get to have the best equipment, the best training. We have just a plethora of toys that are available to us. I just say toys, but it's equipment. There's nothing better than, heading out to an incident and everybody's like, you see cars pulled over, people on sidewalks, just watching it. And then we get there and we unload and people are just like gathering all around. And it's just like, and it's a movie. I realize that for people, they're like, wow, my gosh, I see that on TV or I see it in a movie. And for me, it's like reality. So yeah, it's like all I need is like the music in the background, like the Michael Bay music, and then the walking slow, dun, 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 right? If I can get slow-mo, that would make it just that much better. But yes, it's flipping awesome. No regrets there. And last question. Have I ever been in a pursuit? Yes. Many, many, many. And probably my best pursuit that I've ever been in was we had a jewelry robbery and one of our units picked it up, and as the suspects were getting away and it went into a high-speed pursuit, we were doing 100 plus on the freeway. They're throwing their guns, they're throwing their jewelry out of the windows. They eventually exit into one of our adjacent cities, and they all run into a mall, like an enclosed mall. We have to close down the mall. We have to call for other agencies to come out. But yeah, it was pretty awesome. That's 10 questions, guys. I figured I would answer 10 questions. We're about the 30-minute mark, which is about 10 minutes more than I wanted to. I wanted to do like a 20-minute video, so I may do some cuts here and get that down to 20 minutes. But I hope you enjoyed Coffee with Chris the Cop. Send me other questions to this video for next time, and we'll definitely answer those. I have a list of running questions so far, so we got enough questions for a couple episodes. But if there's something here that I talked about that it's interesting and you want more clarification, definitely hit me up. Once again, thanks for all your support. Take care of yourself, take care of one another, and I really hope you enjoyed this new series that we have. And by the way, I know that someone can watch this in a year from now, but 7K subscriber contest dropping this weekend. We hit 7K, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks again, ladies and gentlemen. This is Chris the Cop. Until next time.